while back, Brian here came up with the idea to do a Christmas documentary of sorts on Krampus, the Yuletide spirit. Being fans of Brom for a while, we realized he just was coming out with a book at the time. So actually was in correspondence with Mr. Brom, and he sent us a copy of his book, and we're here to discuss that and some of the folklore that goes around the story of Krampus.
Yeah, definitely. First off, I'm going to stop and say, hey, thanks, Mr. Brom, for letting us do a show on you. It's a little bit different type things that we're used to doing, but it's all good. It does correlate into a lot of stuff that we actually do. This is actually our second recording. We tried something new with the webcasting software. The sound wasn't working too well, so we just decided to redo it with a normal camera and get it going for Christmas and everything here.
Yeah. So, I don't know, where would you like to start?
Why don't you go into a little bit of what is the Krampus, you know?
Alright. Well, Krampus is this, like I said, Yuletide spirit, more or less. Kind of the same thing as like the stories about Santa Claus to, get kids to behave, or however you want to put that. Krampus would actually go around and enter homes and basically punish kids that were misbehaving. I mean, he was known for. They would tell stories that he would pull out like kids' ponytails and like chase them off of cliffs, or more commonly just like put them in his bag and like beat them with birch branches and rods and stuff. So I mean, he wasn't a friendly guy who would just like put like a lump of coal in somebody's stocking if they misbehaved. He was serious about stuff. But they would have the kids actually put out, like in the book, Brom mentions kids would actually put out like a pair of like shoes with like candies inside to offer to Krampus, kind of like the same as like the milk and cookies thing.
Yeah. So this particular story has been around before Brom, correct? Or well, not the story itself, but.
Well, I mean, obviously,
Krampus?
Yeah, Krampus, as the folklore story goes, has been around like pre-Christian idea. I mean, Krampus is connected to, strongly connected to paganism.
So you mean it looks like he really strongly represents, it looks like Pan, for the god of, paganism, playing his flute. I mean, that's what it kind of looks like, to me, anyway.
Right, and that his whole image is more or less what we commonly see nowadays as demonic. I mean, he actually had horns, like, it was like black skin, teeth, big long tongue, and just pretty fearsome looking. So
there's actually parades and stuff like that going on to this day.
Right, yeah, I mean, this is predominantly, this is pre-America, I mean, as far as these traditions go. I mean, it still is a big thing, like in Germany, Hungary, Croatia, Austria, Bavaria. So, I mean, it's like all the European countries, I mean, they strongly practice this, and they would actually have, I think it was traditionally on the evening of December 5th, that, like, tons of, younger men would dress up, as Krampus, and like just invade towns and just like knock on doors, and a lot of times I guess like parents would actually let them in.
Really? Like, so they're just like, oh yeah, these demon type people knock on the door, and people let them in and let their kids get scared by these things?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was...
Wow.
I mean, instead of taking your kids to the mall to see Santa, they would actually let these guys dressed up like demons come in and scare their kids.
Wow. I mean, definitely that is a, you know, kind of a crazy whole concept of, like, I guess that, you know, that does tie into, like, if you're bad, you're going to go to hell kind of concept then, correct? Yeah? You know?
Right. And actually, in Brom's book, Krampus's mother was actually the Queen of Hell, which her name was also Hel. And that's in the old Norse mythology, like with Odin and such.
Okay, we were talking about a little bit before about how that this could actually tie into the actual real paranormal concept of things. Like, let's say a spirit, any Joe Smo spirit that's around wants to take on a role of, you know, Krampus. He certainly could take that spirit's place and gain power from calling itself, you know, the Krampus, because
right.
there is people that do worship this, you know, all over the world.
Right.
Same concept of, like, you know, Santa Claus. You know, people may not believe that Santa Claus is real, but but there is people that do think it's real,
right.
and that the power of that alone makes that entity or whatever have that power.
Right. And I was telling you before, because you haven't had a chance to read the book yet, I just finished it myself. But in the story that Brom wrote, that's more or less what the Santa Claus character, that actually is the flesh and blood Santa Claus in the book, that's more or less what he did. Because in the story, it was actually Odin's son, I believe his name was pronounced Bladar, that when he became reborn after Ragnarok and all that stuff, which was like their apocalypse, he actually took on traveling with Krampus for a while. And you see that in a lot of the folklore, that Krampus and Santa Claus were like the good cop, bad cop team. And they had a falling out, the way the novel goes, after Odin's son became infatuated with Christianity and St. Nicholas. He actually took on St. Nicholas's persona and more or less became Santa Claus.
So then he just gained all that. So that's like, well, my theory about that. I mean, it definitely goes together. I mean, it really looks like it would. I mean, any spirit or demon, if they wanted to take over, and if there really isn't something there in that spot doing that, there's this wasted energy coming out to nothing.
Yeah, and you fill that void and become that entity.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening in real life situation. You know, if you do believe on that specific kind of topic.
I mean, I guess if you simplify it down to, like, you know, people, guys that dress up like Santa to do like the mall Santa stuff. I mean, obviously that's not real Santa, but all of the kids, you know, that,
yeah.
Whoever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, they probably, a lot of them do get that sonar that they actually believe that they're Santa Claus while they're doing that. I mean, you kind of have to put on that play for the children, but it's that mentality that people get while doing that. I mean, that actually cohorts into when we do interviews with people for PMPI or, you know, for investigations. We're gonna find out if those people are just imagining things, or we kind of went over stuff about cases that we had that people got, you know, versus something that's fake. You know, somebody wants you to come in there and investigate so freaking hard, you know, throwing their type of evidence towards us and wanting us to believe that person is, you know, and
I mean, because whether somebody is, I mean, what you're kind of trying to say, I think, is some people just want the publicity of it. But I mean, it's also the fact that sometimes it's just people's minds more or less playing tricks on them because, you know, it.
And then there is the people that really do have experiences, you know, and them are the ones that they actually cancel on us. We had about well over 10 cancellations in this year alone for private cases because they're in fear of having our cases
become
worse. Yeah. And it's sad, you know, and I really do believe those particular cases there really is something there. It's just never going to be able to investigate it. And it sucks when that, you know, that particular thing happens. Like our case coming up here in next month on the 12th. This guy contacted me and about a poltergeist. I told you a little bit about it. Guy, him and his buddy seen some little demon type creature try to bite him in the arm or something. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not gonna go off and say, hey, you're crazy.
But he says one friend saw it too.
His one friend seen it too. Well, then my second opinion is, are you taking anything? He's like, no, I don't do anything. I don't take prescription drugs. I'm like, well, when, you know, I don't want to offend anybody saying, hey, when's the last time you had the last CAT scan or whatever, you know, you may have a brain tumor or something.
Right.
But what really makes this story really even crazier is his mother. His mother is a cripple. Okay. Well, turns out that somehow she got out of bed by herself, got into the wheelchair.
So she doesn't really move around much.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, she's laying in bed, whatever. He sent her to bed. He has to do everything for her. He's at home. He takes care of his mother. So, supposedly, after this creature incident, they went outside or something because they were just so freaked out.
Him and his buddy?
Him and his buddy.
Yeah.
Came back in, and his mother is in the kitchen asking him if he's leaving or something. And as he didn't notice at the time, but I guess she had black eyes or something like that. And my first thought is this thing's, if it's real, it's a poltergeist type shape-shifting kind of being. And I mean, it does sound like it's kind of like way out of a story, you know. It's just, in a way, I believe him because, you know, I mean, I can't just say, yeah, I'm gonna like go out there and believe you know, completely. Obviously, we have to go there.
Something worth being investigated.
Investigated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she was sitting there next to the refrigerator, asking where he was going.
And yeah, if she doesn't move around much, I'm guessing that him and his friend probably went outside for that long. So it's like something weird is happening.
Well, yeah. I mean, he left. Not even halfway down the road, he comes back, and he comes back, and she's not in the kitchen anymore. She's just laying in bed where he left her the first time. But here's the thing that I asked him. I'm like, where was the wheelchair? Was it next to her bed or across the room? Couldn't she actually go over there and pick up that, go get that for herself? And he's like, there's no way. She can't use her legs. So I'm like, well, couldn't she just like scoot across the floor? He's like, no. And what more of the story is, just the other day, I guess there was a cable guy up in the attic. I guess he ran out of there terrified, completely terrified about it. And I was like, okay, well, this guy does not know history of this place whatsoever. He's like, no, you know, it is just things like that. I mean, this guy, he was scared to talk to me about it.
Right.
I mean, he didn't want to be on camera, nothing. He wants us to investigate this place, but he says it's going to be worth our time. Well,
so yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. And yeah, like we were saying, a lot of times it's places like that people truly believe there's really something happening. That a lot of times they'll just back out and want to stay anonymous, which we have a lot of clients like that, just because they believe that, like we were saying, if somebody takes on that persona, they gain that power. Kind of same thing, you know, if they feel that if they sow attention to it and like have us come in and stuff, a lot of times that'll make the situation worse.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it bugs me that we have to do stuff like that. But we had to go with the tie, I guess, you know. And
unfortunately, I mean, a lot of times us going to a location would actually help alleviate some of the problems, though.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's all about that psychological thing, you know. It's the fear that something bad's gonna happen to you.
That Krampus might come after you.
Yeah, Krampus might come after you.
Yeah.
You know, and it really does. You know, I really like this particular story. You know,
it's really intriguing. It really is.
I mean, I know Brom did a lot of Diablo, the artwork in Diablo, the video game, the PC game, and that. Played hours and hours of that.
But yeah, Brom, I first came across him when I was a kid, probably like 10, 14, somewhere around there, and statue work of his and paintings of his and stuff always have that macabre type, you know, dark feeling to them, and always just found them interesting. And when we wanted to do this Christmas documentary about Krampus and stuff, just so happened that it was around the time Brom came up with this novel. So yeah, I contacted him, and he's, after a couple of correspondences, he offered to send us a free copy.
Yeah, it's really nice of him to do that. Like I was saying before, I'd actually like to bring him along on an investigation, you know, and I think it would be really cool, kind of cool thing. But I you know, he's a busy guy, so I do really appreciate him letting us do a special on him, especially around Christmas. You know, I thought it, you know, it's a gothy, you know, type demon stuff that we're kind of into already. Tying it in there, and you know, there's just so much stuff that I like to do, you know, like to do with the PMPI talk show, and mixing everything that I am into, you know, the vampire community and stuff like that. Right.
Which you said you wanted to do a show on that particular genre here coming up, right?
Yeah, and how it would tie into paranormal investigations, you know, because I mean it does dramatically affect how I act, or anybody that they call themselves, you know, it's like a vampire, you know, and you know, we'll get into a little bit more about that. I mean, when people talk about that, you look at them like, what are you talking about, you know?
But there's actually like
there's scientific proof that psychic vampires do exist.
Right, like energy transference and all that.
I've gotten one of those tests done, you know. It's an actual, they have like a graph. They can graph your, pretty much your energy force, your whatever you want to call it, aura. Right before somebody loses their energy, whatever, their force dampers a little bit.
Okay.
Well, you could see it on the screen, and then after you take that energy from somebody else, it's pretty much the same color as their aura.
So it's actually like you take on
their energy, and then when I put, you know, your hand back on the plate or whatever, it'll be strong again.
Okay.
Like, you know, some people are really skeptical about that stuff, but hey, you know, I lived with it, dealt with it all my life, so.
Well, there's a lot of that, you know, parapsychology and paranormal research nowadays in the modern age. I mean, it's starting to look at all of that stuff again that a lot of people kind of thought was all a bunch of hogwash before.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of science backing things up nowadays, and like, I keep on trying to incorporate a lot of real scientific physics of things when we do an investigation, especially energy transference. That's a very important thing, and a lot of teams don't go on that subject, or
a lot of misconfusion.
They think that ghosts completely defies the laws of physics, and I mean, it's just really touchy subject. Even the ones that are completely completely scientific. You have, you know, their electronics and that, and you know, that goes all back into the paranormal unity too. You know, having all these groups wanting to have a unity together. I mean, my personal opinions on it, it's just, I don't think it's going to happen, just because there is that wide variety of different, you know, things out there. Back to the subject on Krampus here. Did we talk about the parades?
No, but I actually want to go back a second. Being you're talking about the vampire community, I was telling you about his like henchmen.
The Krampus?
Yeah, Krampus's henchmen. In the actual folklore and stuff, he was often accompanied by like servants, like henchmen of his that yeah,
that's a cool picture.
So yeah, he was often accompanied by like these henchmen that like wore like animal skins and like had horns or antlers, and they basically helped him carry out his deeds or whatever you want to call them. And I haven't found any evidence backing it up online or anything, but the way Brom portrays it, he would actually take these, Krampus would actually take these servants by biting them, which immediately when I read that, it reminded me of the whole vampire, you know, stories, and he would actually give the servant he was taking a drop of his own blood, and through that he could basically command them to do his deeds, you know. So
I mean, like psychic vampirism a little bit different than that, but I mean,
the traditional vampire, you know, their blood drinking Dracula type stuff, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, I mean, psychic vampirism can be proven with science, and I mean, they're actually going into the people that actually need to drink blood too, you know. Why, you know, if it's just a mental thing in their head that they need to drink blood or whatever. I mean,
because I'm sure there's a good handful of people out there that just go around and find people that willingly let them drink their blood, you know, just because they think they're vampires, whether there's something to that or not.
Yeah, I had one of those friends do that, and I excommunicated myself from him, and he had like antipsychotics in his blood, and he was making people drink his blood. I was like, holy man!
There's some crazy people out there.
And so. Yeah, I don't have nothing to do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, that's not even safe. I mean, with as many diseases and stuff is out there.
I mean, it's the same thing with psychic feeding on energy and that. I mean, if somebody's depressed,
you gotta take on that.
You don't want to take their energy because you're going to be depressed yourself.
Right.
And, you know, and that's you know, that goes into our investigations and that too. I mean, if I'm out on the field and I'm reading things, like what's really different about me than an actual psychic is taking that energy and becoming whatever that's out there, you know, taking that energy thing in accidentally.
Could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous for the team and dangerous for myself. I'm jumping off a fucking cliff or something, you know, and it's just really, it's a really weird situation, you know, once it comes down to it. The whole story about, you know, Krampus and that, it really, there's a lot of truth backing in it. I really admire Brom, because I have my own I'm like self-taught in everything I do, you know, and that's why I really truly feel that Brom is, you know, the man.
Yeah, because he never took any official art classes or anything, but I mean, he has tons of these paintings of all kinds of different stuff. We'll probably throw a few of them up.
Yeah.
Some of the prints and stuff. But I mean, this is, I believe, his third book And yeah, like you said, he has done all the Diablo graphics and stuff. So I mean, he's got himself fairly spread out doing different stuff. And just to be all self-taught, that's pretty amazing, you know?
It is.
He's got a lot of talent.
And, you know, I just wish a lot of paranormal teams would actually throw everything they got into this, you know? Who cares if it's metaphysical? A lot of that stuff comes in from folklore, and that stuff's real. Some of it's real, you know? And if it's not 100% real, there's some backing to it that it is, you know?
Or at least it's real to people that believe it.
Yeah, and that alone has its power too, you know?
Right.
People believing in something, you know, that it really does have its power.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, because, yeah, I mean, like you said before, people only use, what, like something like 10% of their brain. So,
yeah.
I mean, just the fact of, you know, it's not to insult anybody, but it's almost the same as like prayer. You know, when you focus your mind on something, you know, it has an effect on people. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a lot of communications. But I'm just really talented at talking with people.
Right.
My personality just kind of like a flex onto people really easily. But, you know, it's just coming into investigating and that, it's just really bugs me that a lot of people don't look into the psychic part of it and just go completely scientific. And when they even say that they're scientific, they don't even apply the physics of real physics, you know, like how energy transferences and that, and it just bugs me.
But back to the book for a second. I think we went over that. We went over the fact that people would like let these people in dressed up like Krampus, right?
Yes.
We went over that. But I mean, why Krampus was originally celebrated is because he was like a fertility god in like paganism and stuff.
Yeah, you were saying that before a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, literally people, and like he covers it in the book, in the novel a little bit, that people would, when he was the highly acknowledged and celebrated, I mean, it was tradition that they would let Krampus in, you know, put on like a huge feast for him and stuff, and they like bring out like women to offer to him and stuff. And,
oh yeah.
You know, and with those tributes to him, you know, he would usher in a new year full of you know, fertility and like good crops and stuff. And he would chase away the dark spirits of famine and stuff.
That is just like the green god Pan of pagan. I mean, I bet you it is similar, really related to it.
Well, all of that stuff is like more about like the whole like Mother Earth stuff with the paganism. So, and you know, a lot of that stuff was swept aside when, you know, Christianity made the big boom.
And Christianity changed a lot of things into demonic forces and.
Right. And
but we're not trying to diss it or anything. It's just.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, you know, it's kind of like the Christmas tree and stuff. You know, it used to be the Yuletide tree. And it's kind of the same thing. A lot of the Krampus folklore, if you will, began to incorporate Santa Claus. So, you know, that's just kind of incorporating the old with the new to actually keep, you know, connect everything and got everything flowing smoothly. So, you know.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of Christianity did mess up a lot of stuff there. So, I mean, hey, I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, when this time of year, it's just one of those crazy things. We're actually going to probably just go right into a lot of things about Doomsday coming up here.
Yeah, I know it's on a lot of people's minds about that. So
yeah, I don't think anything's gonna happen. It's just the Mayan thing, you know.
So I say what I told you before about the Mayans?
If you want, man.
Like I said, I'm not trying to say it's not real. I don't put a whole lot of stock in myself, but the big thing that everybody keeps talking about is the Mayan calendar, and it's my opinion personally that, I mean, if I was one of the Mayans back then chiseling the calendars out,
that's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, how many years ago was that they were predominant in actually doing that type of stuff? At some point, they must have just like, hey, we got a couple hundred years worth ahead of ourselves. We probably can take a break and go have a drink. You know, it's
right.
I mean, I'm not saying that's how it went down, but it's like, how far do you expect them to make a calendar ahead of time?
Yeah.
I just got a new calendar for next year just last week, so you know, they were doing better than me.
You're right. You know, it is the mentality. You know, it's the mentality that the world's gonna end. That's what, you know. That's in. I'm a really big person on how the mind works. You know, psychologically. You know, I'm into the hypnosis, and I'm training you with the hypnosis stuff.
Right.
Pretty neat stuff, huh, Jesse?
Yeah, and yeah, the one person we were working with before wants to do more work on that again. So
yeah. I mean, it worked for a while. It just has to be a consistent thing. The mind works oddly. You know, repetitious.
right.
And if you keep on hearing that the world's going to end, you know, you're going to believe the world's going to end. It's all the whole.
Right.
It's a belief structure. It's the same thing in paranormal investigations.
And whether anything does happen or not, you still got people that, you know, panic over it, and, you know, I mean, more or less the mind's going to try to play tricks on them if they believe it enough.
I mean, if you're in a dark area and your mind's already playing tricks on you, and then all of a sudden a teammate is like, oh my god, I feel something over here, and we all play out that whole thing. You know, I'm not saying us particularly, but it's the concept of that there's something there. I mean, or, you know, we go to a location where the client, and they're just starting to say, hey, yeah, man, there's a face over there in the corner, and then all of us see a face in the corner. You know, then you know, it's that whole thing, that the fear. I mean, everybody. I was watching a show. What was that term? Well, anyway, the guy paid some actors to point up in the tree for a snake, and the belief is to get somebody else to believe that there's a snake up there.
Right.
Well, if you get that one person to believe that snake is up there, and other people walking by are curious on what you're looking at, you're like, oh man, there's a snake up there. But there was a whole thing about one person doing it, but typically 4 people seen something up there. Right. There would be one person that doesn't know, and there's like, whoa, there's something up there, and then they don't even have to act anymore. That one person is like, look, there's a snake up there.
Right.
You know, and even if you tell the person that, you know, that's just a branch, there's no snake up there. Right. They still believe that there's a snake up there. So it's just suggestion is a powerful thing. You know?
Oh, not to take away from that, but I don't think we mentioned yet. You wanted to talk about like the Krampus parades and stuff. We were starting to talk about that.
Oh yeah. We actually want to go to one of these things.
Yeah.
I think the closest location probably would be Philadelphia.
And if we have time, we'll probably throw in a clip from some footage from actual parades. But yeah, these people, they actually dress up like Krampus and like more or less like demons.
Yeah, like they're coming right out of the pits of hell, just walking up and down the streets.
Yeah, and people have their kids out there, and they're letting them come right up to their kids and like scaring the crap out of their kids.
I read somewhere that this actually became an actual. This people actually worship him like an actual deity, you know, and
that's how.
That's what the parade is about, and that. And there's actually a feast about him too.
Oh really?
Yeah, people will sit down and have a dinner, and contribute to the Krumpas.
Yeah, and that's what Brom covers it in the novel too. And a lot of the research I've done, that's what they used to do. They used to pay tribute to the Krumpas when he would come to town, more or less.
I
thought with that he would usher in,
it's definitely a really cool topic to talk about. And again, I'd like to thank Brom for letting us letting us go over his work
and for the novel itself.
Oh yeah, we'll give links in that to where you can buy his book if you're really interested in the story. We're gonna actually show a little show by Alan. We'll give all full credits for him in that, for doing everybody that did this particular show on the Krampus. I think it'll be a really cool thing to do to show at the end of the show here. But back to Brom, it's a really awesome for letting us do that. He pretty much said that it's a really cool project. Wanted to.
Yeah, I basically sent him an email explaining to him what we do and this particular project we want to do, and it seemed like he was pretty intrigued by what we want to do, and offered to have his publisher send us a copy, and so yeah, here it is. But it's just a really intriguing tale, and just that it has endured for so long. It's actually pre-Santa Claus, and it's kind of making a comeback, especially with Brom's help, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's a definitely cool story.
Yeah.
We're actually going to probably do another show. It depends on another talk show. It all depends. There's so many things that I want to do with the talk show and try to incorporate my beliefs and things that I'm into, like the vampire community stuff. Is really helping out, getting the word out.
And like I was kind of telling you before, a lot of groups just focus on just like the ghost hunting aspect of it. It encompasses so many different aspects of.
There is so much. That's what bugs me. It bugs me so much, though, that
obviously this isn't a traditional thing we'd be discussing in a traditional paranormal topic necessarily.
But it is a psychological thing, and a lot of why we ghost hunt is a lot of stories like this. When we're told as a child, things. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there is that psychological part of it that I don't think a lot of teens realize that it is, part of it, Yeah. So, I want to touch up on a hypnosis project of mine for paranormal investigating, like trying to get everything and see how the mind really works with a paranormal experience, hypnotizing somebody. A lot of testing, a lot of equipment and that we're going to be going over too in our next episode.
And we have a lot of cases already lined up for when we start back out again. We're kind of on a little bit of a breather right now.
Yeah, it's only been like a month, but it seems like forever.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to get more equipment, to try to back up more scientifically. I want to go more on that route instead of us going around, a lot of people, I try to make everyone happy, It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, regardless of how scientific, how psychic, or whatever. It's not going to...
The goal is trying to be a balanced team between the, you know...
And just show people how it is. I mean, we might even do a show just completely on trying to get to a location. I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we don't show. I mean, we do argue like anybody else does. You know, we have our problems as a team, and keeping it together is the real challenge. It's not really getting that evidence for us. It really isn't. It's not going out there really proving that it's just showing people how hard it is to do this stuff.
Right.
And it's just really fun for us to do. Fun, dangerous, you know, the dangerous part of it. We just took on a new member, Heather. She's going to be our historian, librarian on the spot with us, because we do have historians, but they just don't come with us, you know?
Right.
So...
Yeah, hopefully that works out, and I mean, like we were talking also before, is, you know, it's not the danger aspect isn't. I mean, we're not necessarily saying like always dangerous like spirits or anything. It could be like danger from like, you know, walk around in the dark and like somebody breaking an ankle or something.
Like a tube to get stabbed through your neck or something. I mean, we do have medical kits and stuff with us. I mean, we really do cover our bases. We're not just a team that goes out.
And we got called members. I'm like me. I'm actually CPR certified.
Yeah, and then there's Nicole. She's certified nurse, and it's just.
So we try to cover. I mean, there's so many bases to cover. It's not just running out there with cameras and stuff, you know.
And trying to have that aspect, it's just. We just. I think I'm like Eric. He noticed that I am a perfectionist when it comes to paranormal investigations. I have to be. I have to look at almost every angle, and if it's not done right, I'd rather do the whole investigation all over again. Even throw out evidence that I got.
Which we've done that already.
Oh yeah, I mean, even this evidence, I'm like, no, just throw it out. The whole scene was wrong. We'll do a whole investigation all over again. I mean, it's not like we're going over our line and we don't have lines. It's pretty much on the spot. That's what's happening. But if you feel that it was just that wrong, it just didn't feel right, I would throw out a whole entire investigation. I've done it.
Right. Well, that's probably getting close to time for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about time.
Hopefully we can go to one of the Krampus parades sometime in one of the upcoming years here. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, we do have that those lights in Michigan.
Oh, the holding lights?
Holding lights. Yeah, we're gonna try our luck with that.
Okay. But yeah, definitely again, thanks to Brom and sending us a copy of his novel.
Yep, we'll give you all the links in that if you're interested. You can even send us a message too. Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we gotta go here.
And you gotta show that one YouTube clip here at the end, right?
Yep.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right.
Every year in Christmas Town, after Santa has come down, to his comrade he gives the gist of who's been naughty on his list. Now this is very serious business, as little Gunther and Ingrid are about to find out, for there is no escaping Krampus. Ho, ho, ho! Hello there, Krampus. There are two naughty children in the house down the block. Why don't you pay them a little visit? Sure thing, Santa. That's what I'm here for. Maybe later we can meet at the beer garden. Ho, ho, ho! Go get 'em, Krampus. Inside, the children, warmed by the fire and with presents galore, were happy and excited to hear a knock at the door. What? Santa's back, said the little boy and girl with glee. But alas, it was not Santa. It was Krampus. Oh no, said the children. Which one of you stole a crunch bar from the local candy shop? No. And which one of you disobeyed Mommy and Daddy and went outside when you shouldn't have? We didn't do it, and it wasn't us. Oh, delicious little liars. It was both of you. I think it's time to get into the bag. No. Oh, no. Let this be a lesson to all of you naughty children. If you keep it up, you too may get a visit from Santa's friend, Krampus.